Hey there friends and enemies, JoPa here again, and in my opinion, the recent Ash and Iron update for Destiny 2 was always going to be doomed to fail, and I also think that Bungie might have suspected this as well, which is why so much of the focus and the marketing has been on the Renegades DLC, which doesn't drop until December, and a lot of the information we received about changes coming to the game are pushed that far back. I do feel like if Destiny was in a healthier spot as a whole, they would trickle out some of these updates over the course of time in order to keep people engaged, but it does seem like there is a mass exodus going on among players, and they need one major focus point, one big drop of content in order to try to win those people back. That's not going to happen with a free update like Ash and Iron. A lot of people expected this to be equivalent to Into the Light. However, that is simply not the case, unfortunately. And what we've seen so far, yes, there's more coming, I think is a worrisome indicator about the future of these free updates if they continue down this path. So if you missed it, with the recent update Ash and Iron, we got some solid content, I would say. A new game mode called Reclaim, which I personally like. We did get a mission that you can tackle that tells a bit of the story where you're defending the tower. I thought that was actually quite fun as well. And we got new weapons and all that kind of good stuff also. No, I don't think it's enough compared to what we've seen in like past seasons. However, also keep in mind those past seasons did cost money individually, and also they just were not satisfying as a long-term loop. So while they were better to log in weekly where you got those story beats and everything, some new quests and things that you might play from time to time, ultimately they were just not super repeatable and oftentimes left a lot to be desired, which is why Bungie has ultimately moved away from them, instead doing 2 DLCs and 2 pieces of free content per year. Now there is some more, like I mentioned, stuff to look forward to that is coming later in the season. We've got a bunch of different events. This seems to be something that Bungie is really leaning into. We've got not only the seasonal events like what we've seen in the past, but we also have Iron Banner returning, which I think, again, if you played in the past, is going to be fairly similar. But then we have like Call to Arms and some other events which are going to shake up gameplay quite a bit, at least for that particular week. They're just not enough to get people excited to come back to Destiny 2, but I think they do provide some things to chase if you're still playing, and also some new ways to play the game, at least for that week, with some new mods and all that kind of good stuff. So I don't think necessarily that those weekly pieces of content are a bad thing. I do find them to be enjoyable overall, and we know with the Festival of Lost later in the year, like around Halloween time, there will be a new activity as well, so that is something to look forward to, and the armor sets for Festival of Lost are always very, very good. However, there's a lot of things that were talked about in the live stream from Bungie yesterday that really indicate that they are pushing things back until the Renegades DLC. Some things that might be able to drop in October or November if they wanted to just slowly roll out these quality of life changes, like I said, for players who are still playing the game and still having a good time. But with the recent drop of Hollow Knight Silksong, with Borderlands 4, the main competitor for Destiny 2, coming out this week, I feel like Bungie kind of saw that and probably were aware of the fact that that game is going to garner all the attention of the majority of looter shooter fans for the foreseeable future. We also recently had Destiny Rising launching, a lot of people checking that out. I think the glimmer from that will fade a little bit, where people will drop off once the gacha gets too heavy for Destiny Rising. But I do also think that Borderlands 4 looks to have content and a roadmap that'll last players a very long time. However, once that game settles in and we've got the ongoing content of Borderlands 4, it's not the type of game, because it isn't live service, where you can relentlessly play it as much as something like an MMO. So it is easy for players with a decent amount of time to juggle both Destiny 2 and Borderlands 4. And hopefully by December, that's what the Bungie developers are going to lean into, where they provide enough content, enough interest and options to keep people engaged, bring them back, and have them jump into the game at that point. That might not necessarily be the case. I do understand folks who are either not excited about a Star Wars themed expansion for the game, especially when you do see that they'll have lightsabers, blasters, and stuff like that, the equivalent in the Destiny universe. And for me, that looks very, very fun. I think this is the most excited I've been about content drops, Renegades, since maybe the reveal of the final shape. So that's well over a year ago, and so I do feel like there's a lot to look forward to there. Again, I understand where folks might not be as interested or invested. And those quality of life changes that are coming with Renegades, I think, are absolutely necessary, but really unfortunate that they wouldn't try to roll some of this out sooner, just to test the groundwork. What we've seen with Ashen Iron, the other major problem is there's so many bugs and glitches that if that happens with the Renegades, it's immediately going to drive people off who will say, essentially, here we go again. And so I do feel like there needs to be some pre-DLC updates that'll test the waters on some of these things. So if something is absolutely broken, it can be put to the side. We know there is an exotic mission for a exotic axe later in the Ashen Iron update that I think is exciting. And hopefully, like I said, on the back end of this, with the events, with the exotic, with the next version of the raid that's dropping later this month as well, they try to start to right the ship. I don't think you can do it all at one particular time. I don't think you can drop just a few pieces of content, but we've seen it in the past. The Taken King, Forsaken, there's been a lot of times in Destiny's history where good content will bring the community back, have them jumping back in and playing the game consistently, no matter how low we've been over the course of time. And that's something that I hope to see in December. I know people are rooting for the downfall of this game, but for me personally, Destiny always feels like home. So when I have a place to jump back in and do my activities, use my favorite exotics, feel that crisp gunplay, maybe play a little bit of PvP, take on a raid or a dungeon, something which doesn't really happen often in FPS games. I really enjoy all of that still, and I do want the game to shine, and I hope that we get some good content in the future. But for now, you might see me making the majority of my content on Borderlands 4. That's the game I'm going to be playing the most. I will come back for the exotic mission, for the new content that drops in Destiny 2, just to give it a peek. But for now, expect me to be a Borderlands 4 main, and I'm pretty sure that I won't be alone in that opinion. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you agree or disagree? For whatever reason, let me know why, and I will catch you all later. Have a good one.